Hi!
Heyo.
At the time of this recording, well, what I mean to say is, by the time this video is out, we will probably know full well if our treatment has worked. I am holding off on posting this video for many months, which feels weird, especially considering how delayed it's going to be. But I don't think we're allowed to talk much about this yet. Maybe we'll have another video come out that'll be more current, spliced in here, but I think we can say many months ago, well, a couple months ago, we were contacted by a TV show, and they wanted to follow our next steps with the baby stuff. They had seen either my YouTube or my Instagram, maybe both, and they said, we're doing a show all about families or people starting their families. And so we signed a contract to be a part of it. If I'm allowed, I'll share more down the line. But for now, because of that contract, we have not been allowed to share our next steps with social media. So if I'm releasing this video, finally, it's because either the show's begun airing or I've been given permission to finally start sharing our part of the story. So it's not even Christmas yet at this point. We're still in 2019 at the time of recording this. Stuart and I are heading to Home Depot for a minute because we're still working on the duplex stuff. But as for the baby things, the things that have been in motion and we haven't been able to share, it's been a difficult process, but we have a donor. I probably will not share too much about the donor because that feels like content that I want to save just for our baby.
We also don't know really a ton about them.
Right, of course, but I'm not going to share, pictures,
names,
identifying
birthdays,
information.
where they live.
No. But I will tell you, we found one, and we thought we really liked her, and we chose her, and our clinic reached out and said, hey, would you be willing to do an IVF cycle? But she had just finished one. Or not an IVF cycle, but an IVF egg retrieval. So she said, I've just done one. I don't really feel like doing another. Hold on one sec, Stu. So no. So our first pick was not available. So we went back to the drawing board and looked at like hundreds of girls. Our clinic has a big database of these amazing girls who have offered to donate their eggs. Apparently only 10% of the girls who've offered to be donors are even accepted to be donors. They have this very rigorous and difficult process to even become a donor, but these girls are compensated, but they said that these girls are really doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. There's this part where they write their motivations and things like that, and all these girls say like, either like, I'm not at a place where I want to have children, or but I want to help someone else. And like just seeing these women's want to help just warmed my heart so much. So we had several appointments with my clinic. At this point, we were only allowed to see baby pictures. But we went into the clinic, and you can view their adult pictures, but only when you're at the clinic, because they don't want you taking pictures with your phone or doing screenshots or things like that. In the database at home, we see the baby pictures, but the adult pictures can be only viewed inside the clinic. So we would view the adult pictures, and we found another one that we really, 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 really liked. Probably more than our first one, actually. And I don't mind saying, like, I thought she was so beautiful. Just this beautiful girl. And we reached out, and She thought she might have some scheduling. We didn't reach out. Our clinic reached out to her and asked if she'd be willing to do a cycle, and she said she needed to check with some scheduling conflicts. And so we were on pins and needles for like 10 days waiting, and then finally we heard just a few days ago that she said yes, and she is gonna be our egg donor. Again, we don't know this girl. I don't know her name, but we are just so grateful. We want to, I don't know, I'm sending all the love like out into the universe, hoping that she can somehow feel like that there's some gratitude that we have. But it's really exciting. We're really happy.
Yeah. Leading into it, it was really stressful, mostly because of the initial one that had said no. Like when we went to pick this one, there was like this week-long wait, and it was like torture. It was so hard. Just because every step we've taken in this entire process, it feels like we've always been waiting for something or someone, or not having any clear indication of something happening, you know, like not knowing if something's going to work, etc., etc. So it was a really hard week that we waited. And now we're here at Home Depot.
We filmed our reaction to finding out that we had the news, and again, this TV show, or this documentary show that we're a part of, has not begun airing, so I don't know what parts they're going to use, if any, but it's cool having that footage to see like how excited we were. And I feel like the other questions people have for me with this process, with our clinic, she will be going through like the first part of an IVF. Some people think like, are we getting frozen eggs? But no, she'll be going through the injections, she'll go through an egg retrieval, and then Stuart will go into the clinic to give his part of the contribution stuff. We begin the observation for 5 days of the embryos, just like we did with our last IVFs. And then we probably will freeze them, make sure my body's at the right time before we do a transfer. They said we could even freeze embryos for like a couple days and then do a transfer. Like, I want to do the transfer as soon as I can, but we're going to make sure my body is where it needs to be before we do that. I'm trying to think if anyone out there is considering using egg donor, what kind of questions you might have. Things that we considered. So I wanted to get someone that might look like relatively close to me, but at the same time that wasn't super important. We looked at blondes, we looked at redheads, and we looked at brunettes. We looked at so many people. But so that was probably honestly the number one thing was looks. No, excuse me, that wasn't number one. For me, the number one thing was knowing they'd either had children or had done an egg retrieval before, and those people had had success. Because if I was in my young 20s and I had tried to be an egg donor, my numbers looked great. I don't think anyone would have known that I had endometriosis at that point, or bad eggs even. So I needed to know that they were successful before. So that's called a proven donor. I needed number one to be a proven donor. Then we looked at looks, and then we were looking at like education and family health. Actually, I'd say that was number 3, was family health. We wanted to see what their family, because it tells you their family's
Health history.
Health history, their height of their parents and their siblings. It tells you if they've had good eyesight, bad eyesight, all the things. And then we would look at education. I feel like education is something that obviously you can be born with smarts or not, but
there's a little less detail on that.
Yeah, but I also feel like really when it comes to educating someone, that comes down to more nurture.
Well, I feel like a lot of it too, what we were trying to take into consideration was how people answered questions, which is another kind of junky subjective thing, because some people might just be filling that out just like they might be really direct and don't feel like they need to put personality into it or whatever. So
yeah, there were some people that we loved their writing style. We're like, oh, you can tell that they've got a great personality, and just by the way that they answer these questions. But for us, number one was, are they proven? Do they have good, for me, do they have good gynecological history? And then, what do they look like? It feels so shallow to say that, but that's the honest truth. And then family health, and then personality, education, things like that. So, and again, some of these girls were so young that were donating that they didn't have a lot of education at that point. So I didn't want to like write them off because they were a year or so graduated from high school, you know, and other people were in their 30s and they had great careers at that point. But it was just because of what they'd been through in life at that point. So anyway, we're so grateful. We've cried a lot of tears. We've been really excited. I would say we are definitely like leaning towards hopeful, as in like we think it will work, which scares me again, but I'm excited to be here at the same time, because being scared or not scared doesn't change the outcome. All it does is like make today good or bad. So if being hopeful is going to make today a better day, then fine. It just feels like things are landing right where they need to be, and it's just so exciting. So anyway, this is such an informal video, and I think I expected to have better edits and stuff because this is like the big story, but at the same time, you know, vlogging is just real life, and so that's what it is. But that's where we are at this point, and when we record this video, I'm sure there will be another video released soon with the next steps. But it's also hard to try to share the story while also protecting the privacy of somebody else.
While also contractually not being able to share things.
Oh, right. While also being under contract with a show that we can't share too much because it should be shown on the show. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard knowing exactly how to do this the right way. But regardless, thanks for hearing this. If you have questions about the donor process, if you're going through it yourself, feel free to leave a comment below and we'd be happy to review those and answer them. Otherwise, thanks for being here, for waiting all this time. If you've been following for a long time, you know that I said almost a year ago, like, I have to be quiet about this, and you've been very patient. So you've made it. We're sharing the story. Here we go. Thanks for everything, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.